We have to ask Danny. I think that we'll sit down when he's at the end of the season. We'll talk to him.
And Earnshaw, he was practiced today, did he?
Yeah, he was out there, just easing back into it. So we might get him for the weekend, but we're not sure.
And you went with Bloom over Eckersley. Bloom had a pretty good job, a pretty good game in New York. Were you kind of rewarding him for that?
Yeah, I thought he had a really good game again. Again, in really difficult conditions for defenders, and I thought he played really well again. We're just easing him along, and it's good to have kind of like Bloomy around. I think he wants the ball, he's composure on the ball, and he defends one-on-one very well. Like we all the players, you're gonna make errors, but it's only your second MLS game, but you wouldn't have known it, and that's what I like about him.
Would people be wrong to read in the fact that you've been going with Blue? I know Eckersley you didn't have a choice 2 games ago, but there's been some speculation about Richard's future given the fact he's a big ticket item and you're trying to shed the handcuffs of salary cap.
Well, as you know, if you're on big salaries in this league, max salaries and above max salaries, you've got to be smart in where you proportion certain contracts in. And this is not anything to do with Richard, because Richard's a fantastic player and he's a really good player in this league. But if you got, Danny Alves, Glenn Johnson, who else is there? Ashley Cole, and put them on, $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 contracts here, you wouldn't do it. It makes absolutely no sense to put a left or a right back on that amount of money, because it just destroys your salary cap. So it's not the players' fault that they're on these type of contracts. It's just obviously you've got to balance your salary cap to portion where you want the most amount of money on the field and where it can have the biggest amount of impact. So and that's why I kind of feel really bad for Richard, because he's kind of in that situation where his agent did a really good job for him, but probably too good of a job. So we're just trying to get a nice wee balance there, and next year that's what we have to do. You have to have some sort of fiscal responsibility when you're looking at contracts and you're looking at types of contracts on positions on the field.
With Darren O'D previously, there was an attempt to renegotiate with him. Is that still something that you're looking at with any players on the roster for next season, or
in terms of renegotiating, in terms of
renegotiating the contracts, in terms of a lower salary hit, but maybe a longer period of contract?
Well, no, not with Darren, because Darren's doing really well. He's off obviously in the Ukraine, and he's got a contract that he's happy with. But even in some of the contracts that have been given out, they're too big to even do lengths of contracts, because they're too large. So even if you try and put 2 or 3 years on it extra, it's still too large. But I mean, we're in a nice position, for all the guys that are going to be back next year. That everybody's there's a nice balance to our squad now. With when you talk about the certain contracts, obviously there will be a couple of movements, but everybody knows the situation. Everybody's grown up and adult enough to understand where we are.
Monday and Henry, you've got playing time for both of them, which one would imagine the two of them will pair up this weekend. Do you are you looking forward to seeing them work together?
I think so. Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of one of those ones where you're looking forward to the young players as to play. You're like 20-year-old and a 21-year-old. So they've got to be tested together, and this is a big opportunity for the youngsters to show that they're also 1, 2, and 3 centre backs at the club. In that kind of determining on which order, and it'll be a big, maybe couple of games to them. So we'll see how they go, and it's kind of, as you said, it's kind of exciting to see them.
How do particular players or the club have to adjust to Stephen not being back there for the first time in a while and sort of missing his leadership and that local nature that he's got?
Yeah, of course. But that's life, and we're going to miss Stephen next year. There's going to be games where he's not going to be available. Obviously, that's what we'll have to look. You look at all the worst case scenarios just as much as the best case scenarios, and so for looking for next year, we've already kind of thinking about what would happen if Stephen Cordwell goes down, or what would happen if Bobby Convey or Matthias Laber. Or these are the kind of things you have to kind of think about, not just the best case but the worst case scenarios.
I know you're not a big fan about captain questions, but fans are always interested in who would captain the squad this weekend with Stephen out.
Just pull the names out of a hat, spin the wheel. Obviously, a little bit of money, side pocket kind of thing.
And you talked about Gally and Daniel being so young. Where were you playing at their age? Were you at Stanford? Are you out of Stanford then?
Yeah, I was popping pimples and chasing girls and not doing very well chasing them either at Stanford somewhere. So when I see these two young men, doing what they're doing, I keep telling them I was nowhere near their level. What they're doing now, I was making the exact same mistakes that they were doing, but I was just doing it in front of 300 people in the dog. They do it in front of Canada's media and the MLS media. And so that's the life they're in. It's fantastic that they're getting all them out now, getting all those little mistakes out now, and learning and growing, and because I'll become better for it.
And if you and Fran do not appeal your suspensions, would Jim Brennan be the lead guy on the sidelines?
Yeah, Jimmy would probably take over. Yeah, which is absolutely fine, because Jimmy's more than capable of Stuart and Jason and that. So.
And any other injury concerns going in this week?
What else? We just got Matthias obviously he's out for the season. That's it, I think. Yeah, that's it. We've just got Matthias. Obviously, John's not available still. So we've got a starting centre back, a starting midfield, and our starting striker's not available. So, so we're a bit thin, but in areas. But it's just good to see other guys step up and see where they're at.